this is a real treat. We did this last year. We thought we had a great crowd. This is an amazing crowd. So we're incredibly excited that you're all here. First, I'd like to, and these two producers are terrific. First, I'd like to introduce David Hinojosa, whose recent credits include First Reform, Vox Lux, and Beatrice at Dinner. So David. And he's with Killer Films. And it's really rare that a producer gets to have one film in the New York Film Festival. Oh, please sit. Gets to have a film in the New York Film Festival. It's extraordinary when that person gets to have two films in the New York Film Festival. So I'm really pleased to introduce Emma Tillinger Koskoff, who's the producer on The Irishman, the opening night film and also Joker. So thank you both. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm David. I'm excited to talk to Emma today. I have no qualifications for this job except I love the work and I love to ask questions.
I don't have any qualifications for being the guest speaker, but hi.
So
I'll do my best.
To me, one of the craziest things about making films is the schedule you keep. The headspace can get so bonkers. I was listening to Emma backstage talking about what's happening in your life. It's pretty wild. So when you take a moment to check into your headspace, what does it feel like right now to have these two huge movies that are already a massive part of the conversation? What are you feeling at this moment?
At this exact moment?
This exact
Exhaustion
moment, yeah.
from these two movies. No, it's really, it's a humbling feeling. I'm very, very proud. I'm excited. I'm super proud of both films. I worked really hard on both films. I'm exhausted. I'm euphoric. I'm all of those things. It's a great feeling to see both these films be recognized in the fashion that they are, because they're beautiful films.
So I'm going to ask you this question because I'm looking for suggestions for myself. But when you say I'm a producer of motion pictures, of television, what does that mean to you? What do you, if somebody that doesn't understand filmmaking, doesn't work in the business, what do you say a producer does?
Well, I mean, a producer wears so many different hats, and I'm sort of an old school nuts and bolts producer. I always say I don't have a creative bone in my body, but I do. But I really tend to, my career has been, I've been blessed to be mentored and raised by Martin Scorsese. So I don't really necessarily love to get too involved in the creative and the script writing, because that's sort of his temple with the filmmaker. I mean, with the writer and the actor in the movie or the actress in the movie. So by the time we're ready to shoot, by the time we're ready to go into production, that's sort of where I really kick in, and I pride myself on creating an atmosphere and an environment that is safe and protected for Marty and the actors to create and do what they need to do, and I try and bear all of the, just keep them protected from what it's like for everything that goes into making a movie. But I budget the film, I crew up the film, I really sort of run it from prep through release.
So one of the things I'm fascinated by in your career, you obviously work with Martin Scorsese. This has been something you've been doing for years now. He's probably the most revered living filmmaker we have today. How do you say no to someone like that? Do you have conversations? I saw an interview you did about silence, which sounded a bit, you didn't have as many resources as on maybe other films, but what is a conversation like when you can't give him what he wants?
What the fuck are you talking about, Emma? It's what it is. It's what do you mean? No. He's, it's hard to say no, and I try not to say no. I try and anticipate well in advance what, resources we're gonna need to help him realize the vision. So I don't say no often. I sheepishly go in the trailer and I sit down and I prepare him, and he always knows when bad news is coming. And he's uncompromising. He's exacting, and it's hard to tell him no, and we generally figure out how we're gonna solve the problem.
So you use this word exacting a lot, which I love. I've heard you say that before. When you guys decide, okay, we're going to roll up our sleeves, this is the next thing, we're doing The Irishman. Someone at Scorsese's level, at Sicilia's level, what does that preparation look like? Do you spend long periods of time researching? You're doing what is like the very genesis of like, we're going to go do this movie? So what comes first?
The research comes first. It's exhausting the level of research that's involved, and we have an amazing researcher and co-producer, Marianne Bauer, who digs in and she liaises with all the different departments. And it's like, if I see another Dropbox, I've almost like blocked Dropbox from my email alerts, because it's astonishing, the level, the deep dive that she does. It's pretty remarkable, because he's a perfectionist, whether it's for a period film or a present day film, everything down to the bottle cap has to be perfect, and we strive to deliver that for him.
Does he still do the when you have the creative team assembled, the screening movies that are influences? How does that work?
Yes, tons. We have. If we're in a location where we can screen, we screen. If not, again, that Dropbox. Here it is.
You screen while you're making it. You're still screening stuff.
Saturdays.
All through.
Oh yeah. If we have the energy and can do it, But a lot of that happens in prep, and it's references. So when he can put it up for the team, we do. But sometimes, prep is crazy. So you've got it on the computer or a DVD or whatever. But yeah, always film references.
So how big is your team? One of the things that I love about producing is you have this family that kind of grows and shrinks, and depending on the movie or the size of the movie. What is your core team at Sicilia?
Oh, just the office?
Yeah, how do you keep things running?
Well, we're not a traditional. You should talk about Killer, because you're more of a real production company. Not that we're not, but we are small. We're in-house. We don't do a ton of development. It doesn't. It's just sort of me and Marty, and we have. Marty's constantly doing. His documentaries. We have editors, and that's sort of what we're made of about. Is the actual making of the films. The development sort of. There's too many projects that he has that he won't, unfortunately, get to make that are ready to go. So if you want to talk a little bit about how Killer works, because
I imagine one of the things we might have in common, Killer, we have an ecosystem of people around us, like our little universe, and so there's a lot of kind of repeat business when we love to use the same department heads, or maybe the cinematographer on one movie starts directing, and we give feedback on a script. So it's a very supporting the family approach that we take.
Yes, no, I misunderstood you a little bit. Yeah, Marty does have his core group of his creative, Sandy Powell, wardrobe, Rodrigo Prieto. He's had many different DPs over the years, but Rodrigo has been with us since Wolf of Wall Street. We have Bob Shaw, our brilliant production designer. We're going to use Dante Ferretti on Killers of the Flower Moon, which is next. So he's versatile there. We have. Oh my God, what other departments? Thelma, of course, the amazing Thelma.
And is it like a bat signal, like Marty's ready to do another one, like everybody drop what you're doing?
Totally.
You got to take that call.
Totally. I'm dealing with it right now, because we're not officially greenlit on our next film, and everybody's clamoring, and I can't make a deal. I can't guarantee anybody. I can't. It's been a nightmare. I'm just just keep doing commercials, please. Or call Marty. Tell him you're not available.
And it must help, someone like Sandy, who he's worked with for so many years now, it must help to have, even in your relationship with her, that shorthand. So when she tells you, Emma, we're going to be over, you gave me too many extras, what do you want me to do? Are you able to kind of grow and ebb and flow with that?
Yeah. It can be painful sometimes, because Sandy she's,
I've worked with Sandy too.
On such a, But she's great, but you don't want to say no to Sandy. You don't want to say no to Sandy, and you want to do everything you can to make it work. And we do throw curveballs a lot, which it's amazing how they figure it out.
And how do you, as the I imagine maybe the first call that gets from Marty, but how do you set the table when you're kind of saying, okay, this is what we're doing? Have there been challenges or particular movies that were maybe not the budget level that everyone had wanted for that? Or like when we talk about like scalability, how do you navigate that, and when does that come into play?
I just sort of, once we start the budgeting process, I like to get them all super involved as early on as possible. I'm very, I like to be very clear with them up front, like, this is what it is, and I'm gonna, he's gonna listen to me, so, and we have to protect him and the budget and, the creative vision, and you guys all have to help us do that. So it's a very open, it's a family, it's not without its own, some strife here and there and some problems, but we all work it out and we all come together and figure it out.
I've heard you talk about this kind of creating calm and tranquility. Can you talk about what that is in practice? Like, are you kind of a gatekeeper to Marty, or how do you kind of create a space for him to do what it is he needs to do?
I mean, I guess I'm a gatekeeper as any producer is, but it's very, he commands a certain creative space that I ensure for him. I mean, it's like our set is very sparse, it's very quiet. Give him the time to rehearse and work things out in the morning, and just set him up for a really good successful day. Yeah. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I have a couple. So you reach out to a lot of your relationships. You have a lot of these things that you've been developing for years and years. Can you talk a little bit about, on The Irishman, this was something that you worked with Robert De Niro, his production company. I know that Leo has produced some of the some or all of the films you've done with him. Mm-hmm. What is it like to produce alongside an actor who, in some cases, appears in the film?
It's been great. Leo on Wolf of Wall Street, he was amazing. He and Marty were my go-tos. Any problems that I had, I mean, he was hands-on. It was the two of them that I would call into the trailer, help, we need to work this out. Leo's an incredible producer, very, very hands-on, very dedicated and devoted. Bob, amazing. Had an extraordinary experience with him on this movie. And once again, he was always present and available and willing to figure out what we needed to do to triage a situation or manage a situation. He was incredible, really, really great. And Jane, his partner, is amazing. She needs she's amazing. So that was incredible to work with her.
Have there been any producers that you've worked with that you borrowed some kind of like, I like the way so-and-so handled that, or that's an interesting way to kind of crisis manage? Is there someone that you've learned from a particular thing that you watched someone else do?
I've learned a lot from, actually, one of my best friends, Georgia Kakandis, who's a line producer, but she's, she's a line producer, but she's much more than that, and she sort of has given me a lot of tricks of the trade and helped, me learn a lot. And I really owe it a lot to her. Stacey Scher's another very close friend of mine, somebody I worked with early on in my career who I was sort of awed by, and I, never hesitate to pick up the phone when I'm uncertain about something. So there's been a lot of people along the way, a lot of people. I always try and absorb and pick up from other people. Yeah. And learn. I don't know everything. There's a lot of situations I find myself in where I'm like, shit, and I'm happy to pick up the phone or reach out. And I lean a lot on my team. I will say I have a great support from my line producers, my first AD. I couldn't do it without the people around me. So support yourself with great people. Surround yourself with great people, and you'll fool everybody.
One of the things I like about you have a really calm energy. So it's like I want you to be either my psychiatrist but also my fixer, because I can tell that you're like uber capable.
I can kind of do both.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that after. So I'm curious, what was a talent of yours or something you knew about yourself early that you were able to develop that really like informed this job? Are you just like super persuasive? Is it your passion? Like what is it that's like?
I always knew, my parents are in the business. I always knew that this was in my DNA and what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to go to college. I knew I didn't want to go to film school. I knew that I wanted to just get out into the world and figure out what it was I wanted to do. I've done every job you can imagine, and it just, I think, I like to really run the show. I like to micromanage everybody. My husband wants to kill me all the time. I like to oversee things and make sure everything's, putting things together and producing is what it just was in my DNA, and it's just what I
So
do
you didn't
best.
go to film school.
No.
So you jumped right in.
I was working at 18.
What was your first on-set job?
My first on-set job, believe it or not, was, I graduated high school and I went and worked for talent agents here in New York. Did that for a year, and then my first on-set job is I was a set PA. My stepfather was Louis Malle's brother and producer, Vincent Malle, and my first job was a set PA on the film Damage, and I was 19 and had the time of my life and lived in London for a year and knew this is where I wanted to be on set. And then I went on to I came back and I did some office PAing on a TV show, which was horrific. Put 40,000 miles on my car in 1 year. Drove around all night delivering scripts, no email back then. So, so this is where I am.
So you reference a lot all the travel, but you have a family. How do you balance all? Has technology helped? Are you FaceTiming with family a lot? How do you keep in touch with everybody?
Yeah, it's like, oh, here I go again. FaceTime, phones. Sometimes, I'll talk to you in a couple days. Travel's been brutal. I was here Friday night, then I had Joker premiere in LA Saturday night. Back here yesterday, here all week. Go to Europe next week with Irishman and Marty. It's a lot.
Do you get to bring family members with you sometimes, or
Yeah.
do you like to just be off on your own doing
No,
the work?
my daughter and my husband were in Taipei with us for the whole shoot of Silence, which was amazing, but she was 4. She's 9 now. She's in school. I can't take her out. But, she was here for the weekend. It was her birthday weekend, and so I brought her out. She left today. She left this morning. It's a delicate balance for sure. It's not always easy, but I will say I could never be a stay-at-home full-time mom. That would be, I would like Susan Smith us all. So, and my husband's amazing and a great support and full-time dad and husband, so I'm very, very lucky.
Is there a department? I love that you're a nuts and bolts kind of old school producer, because I do feel like there are fewer and fewer of those. When you're on set, what is the department you naturally gravitate toward? Is there one that you think you have a skill set for, you're the most curious about? Like, where would I find you on set?
Always tied to, I've got the AD here and my line producer here, or Rodrigo, because that's who I make the movie with. Sandy's off on her own doing that. Production design is all under control. It's the day-to-day, getting through, making the day, sorting out the shot list, figuring out what we're going to do. That's my core team that I'm holding on to for dear life.
And do you get to be at monitor quite a bit, kind
Yeah.
of watching the?
Yeah. No, I'm there. I'm on set an hour before call. I'm on set an hour after call, making sure everything's, I'm with Marty all day. It's game on.
One of the, you look at her body of work, you are working with the highest level actors across these movies, which often comes with these wonderfully eccentric teams and behind the scene characters. How do you navigate all the big personalities in Hollywood? Or are people deferential to you because I would imagine that there's reverence for the work that you guys are doing?
Certainly with Marty, everyone comes on their best behavior, so it's pretty easy in that.
She's very good at
respect.
answering this already, I can tell.
The actors, I sort of, hi, I'm here. I'm never going to instigate a conversation with you, or, but know that I'm here. If you need anything, I will take care of you. You will want for nothing. any issues, I'm here. Don't expect me to come up to you. I'm not that person. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to take you to dinner. I don't, I want to give you the space to come and do your job. That's how I roll.
In the same way.
That is how I roll.
So I want to ask you some questions specifically about The Irishman. My first one is, how did you guys get Joe Pesci to come out of retirement?
A lot of calls from Bob and Marty.
I read online it was dozens of times that he turned. I mean, like how long? What was the courting process?
I mean, I don't think it was dozens of times. I mean, he's still saying no to this day, by the way. But it wasn't dozens of times. Look, we had a long development process. We had to, all the stars had to align in terms of schedules and budgets and ILM and all of that. So when it really came time to really lock and load, there was a call from Marty, there was a call from Bob, and there was a deal. It wasn't as crazy as it's been made out to be. But he definitely is in retirement, and he definitely came out for this film and for them.
It's very special. So everyone's obviously talking about the de-aging, the technology, ILM. I'm curious in a very specific way, how closely you guys watched the development of that technology, and was there another movie or a demo or something that finally said, now we're at the place that this will work? Right.
So they started the R&D in 2015. Pablo Hellman, who did our effects on Silence, said to Marty, I've read some things, and I know you want to do it this way, and I think we can really do it. So we did a test where we had Bob recreate a scene from Goodfellas. We sent ILM, they went off for 4 months, and they came back and showed a test to me and Bob and Marty and Jane Rosenthal and Thelma. And I mean, it was probably 30% of what you see in the finished film. And we were just like, Bob was like, oh my God, I have a whole new career. This is crazy. So it was, we felt really, really good about the test, and there, obviously the R&D kept on, it was a nail biter up until like a month ago, but yeah. So
it looks fantastic. I mean, I expected to be distracted or at least aware of it in a way, and you just not at all.
From the minute you sort of see it and you go, oh, okay, that's what that is. I think just the story takes over, and I had sort of the same experience, although not as fresh, obviously, because I've been living with it for a long time. But we didn't. Believe it or not, we really didn't see the whole film start to finish with all the effects until like 4 weeks ago. We'd have reviews and all of that, but it's very jarring to see parts of to watch the movie with just some of them in, right? So we'd watch sequences, but not the full movie, and yeah.
Did it create how much of that did you have to deal with on set, like on the day? Were there specific things that either interrupted your guys' flow or Rodrigo's department, or was it pretty effortless?
Effortless, and it really was. There's no head cams, there's no dots, there's nothing. Al, who we de-aged all throughout the movie, literally had to just put some face cream on in the morning. That was his hair and makeup. I wanted to slash that from my budget, but couldn't, because I could have put it on him. But no, and the cameras, the rigs were a little bit cumbersome, but really didn't pose any problems. Our schedule didn't increase because of it. It was really pretty easy.
And you shot predominantly in New York, yeah?
Yeah, all New York.
Does the city like New York that obviously reveres you guys, do you get some extra help or a little extra cooperation, or is it still just like as hard as it is for me?
I don't know that as hard as it is for you, because I think we have a little more money sometimes. Yes. And also, it's hard to say no to Marty. And everybody in New York reveres him, and really they go above and beyond. And I love shooting here. It's the hardest city to shoot in. I mean, it's unbearable, but I love it, and it's the greatest city to shoot in at the same time. Everybody from the film commissioner to Ruthie and the subway system. I mean, everybody is just great, and it's great. But this movie was gigantic, and moving our footprint was insane and hard, but And Marty kept saying to me, you know, this is no way to make a movie, right? I was like, what are you talking about? This is the way you are making the movie, not me. It's not my, because he was like, who are all these people? Where are all these trucks? What the hell is going on? And I'm like, this is not a way to make a movie. I was like, but this is how you want to make the movie. I'm happy we carried 9 cameras at all times because anything that didn't require a visual effect, we shot, he wanted to shoot film. So we carried film cameras and digital cameras, and it was insane. So, yeah. And his choice on how to make the movie, by the way.
Can you walk me through the evolution of deciding to work with Netflix? Was there hesitation because the format's different, because it's streaming? Was this a difficult decision to arrive to? What was it first like when someone said, hey, maybe Netflix would do this?
For Marty, there was the, I want my film in theaters, but you know, what's so great I think about Marty is he's always sort of staying relevant, and he's always open to new technology and new things. So Netflix stepped up. They were the only people who wanted to give us the money that we needed to make the film. They were so supportive and so genuinely, so passionate about the project. It's hard to say no to. And this was Bob's silence for, you know, it was his passion project, and we were going to make it at any cost, meaning whoever was going to make it with us, we were going to do it. And you know, they've been amazing, and they tried to get it, you know, into as many theaters as we can. You know, the big 3 wouldn't play ball at this point, and you know, we're in as many theaters as we can be. I don't know exactly how many we are in, but we're going to be in as many as we can be in. And you know, Marty's very, very happy, and we had a fantastic experience. I encourage anybody to work with Netflix.
I saw the movie on Saturday at a screening, and I have to say there was a real, it like hit me seeing the Netflix banner and then like a Martin Scorsese picture, because in a good way, because I think he's kind of blessing it in a way. I think like so many more people will be open to it now because he did it.
I hope so. Look, they're making movies. They're making a lot of movies. They're spending a lot of money. They're supporting a lot of filmmakers, and it's a beautiful thing.
So speaking of supporting filmmakers, you guys mentor and bless and EP and develop young talent. Can you tell me a couple directors or people you're really excited about? You've worked with the Safdies.
I love the Safdies. We love Jonas Carpignano, Alice. How am I saying her last name? Alice, the Italian.
Yeah.
Shit.
We'll dub it in later.
Joanna Hogg. We worked with Danielle Lesovitz on Port Authority. Yeah, we partnered with RT Features on this emerging filmmaker program. Marty's dedicated to emerging talent, and really, you know, is dedicated to mentoring and nurturing and helping grow these important young voices, young and old voices, doesn't matter, but people who want to tell their stories.
What are his and your viewing habits? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would love to have y'all's name on their movie. How does he decide, like, oh, this is a real does he just go into movie theaters and discover things? Or is everybody coming at him with stuff?
He's not on movie theaters, but he's, you know, anything that he wants is in our office. He scours. He loves you know, he's got so many different viewing options. I'm sorry, my brain is fried. He watches TV all the time, and he's always discovering new talent. That's how he found Shirley.
Oh, Josephine Decker.
Josephine Decker. He, you know, so he'll just say to me, he'll be like, check this out. We need to we'll see if they need any help. You know, it's only their first film. See if they need, you know, so he's always just scouring the internet or Netflix or any, you know, any channels he can to find.
So he watches Netflix.
He does. He sure does.
So tell me about Joker. This is something a little bit different in your recent resume, Marty not directing it. How did you become involved? What was the genesis of this?
So we had met with Todd on something else that we were going to produce with him, and Todd and I, we went out for coffee after, and we hit it off, and we just hit it off and became friends. And there was a time that Marty was going to produce Joker as well. We were going to produce it as a company and partner with Todd and joint effort. But between Irishman post, between Rolling Thunder, and like the 3 other docs he had, he just couldn't, give the attention it would have required to be part of it. And fortunately for me, my schedule allowed, because we had such a long post on this movie, and it was New York, so I could still be available to Marty, and he very generously loaned me, and he's very clear with me. I was on loan, and this any other loaning would be a case by case basis. So I loved the script. I loved Todd, and it was a fabulous experience. I'm extremely proud of the film, and I cannot wait for everybody to see it, and I hope you will go see it. It's a beautiful, hard, complicated, complex tragedy, but A-class filmmaking.
So that must be a fun test case of can I apply all these skills that I've been in this particular family? Can I bring it to this whole other thing?
Oh no, I was this is where it's gonna end for me, because I'm gonna get found out that I have no idea what I'm doing. I even said to Todd, I was like,
Imposter
I don't know.
syndrome.
Exactly. I was like, I don't know that I can do this. And he was like, what are you talking about? He's like, David Webb, our Marty's AD, who's just the best. Todd has been allegedly trying to hire his whole career. And I said to David, are you meeting Todd Phillips on Joker? And he was like, no, man, Beth would kill me. I can't stay here another year. I got to go home. I was like, but I'm going to produce it, I think. He's like, oh. I was like, you can't send me off on this first time out of the nest I can't do it without you, please. He's like, oh, okay, no problem. He said, Beth might divorce me, but I'll do it. And I said, I'll talk to Beth. She'll be fine.
They'll produce the marriage back.
So yeah, so I rolled everybody from Irishman over to Joker. So I had my family, and it was, everybody sort of really was super supportive, and I slowly gained my confidence and produced it.
You only won Venice. I think it worked out okay.
I know. Jeez.
Was it daunting for you in a producing capacity to work in the universe of these iconic characters? I mean, how much of that did you feel a fidelity to super fans? Were you scared of getting anything wrong? Was that something that entered your domain very much?
Not at all. I worked for Uma Thurman for 8 years and worked on Batman and Robin, and that is the only superhero movie of late that I have seen. I know I should see all of them. I don't see any of them. I can't. It's not my genre. I've not seen A Dark Knight, and I specifically kept it that way because I wanted to not have anything ruminating in my head other than what I was reading on the paper, because I was so impressed and so moved by the script that I was like, I don't want to know anything more about this character. I just want to, so no,
That's smart of you, because I'm sure there's no one else that could make the claim that you just made, having not seen those films. So
I know, and
you
I
bring a
probably
freshness.
should, and I'm actually want to see The Dark Knights now, but I don't want that. I'm not. And you'll see this movie. It's pretty special in that it's amazing what Todd did with that character.
And this isn't some tiny production. This was a big undertaking from what I can tell. That just fit nicely into your schedule by
Believe
coincidence?
it or not, it did.
That's amazing.
Although I did shoot 108 days and wrap, and 4 days later I was in a scout van with Todd on Joker. So I have been nonstop, but it did actually fit in really nicely. We shot from September, shot 58 days. I was done by Christmas. Todd posted in LA. I'd go in a little bit here and there, but it actually worked out really well.
Now, I'm going to out her because I know that you just moved to LA,
did.
which is for New York Film Festival. We're all devastated to lose you. So I'm going to make you say something nice about working in New York.
What did I say? It's the best city to shoot in. It's got the
She
best
did cover
crews.
it.
I'm terrified. I keep saying to Georgia, who's producing Killers with me, I keep saying, no, I want to take this. No, we have to take these people from. She's like, no, it doesn't work financially. Like whatever the union issues are, whatever. I'm like, damn, I gotta now get used to an LA crew. But I'm excited. But I'll be back. Come back here anytime to produce.
I have a fun and miscellaneous section in my questions that I can consult. But
These are always the ones that'll get you.
I just want to know, what is something you do to decompress from your stressful? What is something that's unrelated to making films that you love to do?
I love to drink wine. I love reality television. I'm obsessed with
What's
reality.
one of your favorite shows?
Vanderpump Rules. I know, but it is. Like, Brad Pitt could walk in here right now, not interested. Lisa Vanderpump, I'd freak and run out. So I like a lot of reality TV to decompress. Massages we talked about.
We have a lot of these in common.
Vacations.
I loved a vacation. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
I think I had someone very smart tell me that a lot of people who I think a lot of you in the audience probably make things love to watch reality TV because it's devoid of choices in the way that like making a film is, where it's like, that was a choice to put the camera and do this, and that was a choice at the button. It's like you can turn your brain to another channel for
or
a
even
few.
like a Fellini movie. I mean, it's too hard after working. Like it's like there's just things that I have to put off till after, and you just sit there and like. Zone out to Jackson Brittany.
So I have to ask you what's on the horizon. It sounds like you're barreling into another amazing thing.
Barreling right in. I'm in a soft prep right now, which means you're not technically greenlit, which we're not. We're supposed to start shooting in March. So.
Where are you going to be shooting?
Oklahoma.
Take your New York crew with you?
I'm not allowed to.
Not this time.
Some. I'm sneaking some in.
I think are we gonna jump to some questions from you all now? And there's microphones.
Go easy on me.
Right? Yeah. Do you in the back?
Thank you guys for your insights. So as somebody who fosters a lot of young and emerging talent, I was wondering where you found in the industry there are shortages and where there's surplus. So like, what is there a lack of besides just like money? What kind of talent are you finding that you would like to see more of?
I don't know that there's a surplus anywhere. I don't want to speak to that.
Right.
I love people who are multi-hyphenates because I think as it's become cheaper and easier to make content, you can go out and buy a camera and you can be format agnostic, you can be length agnostic, you can upload it yourself to YouTube. So I find a lot of young filmmakers are really adventurous, and both out of utility, they have to be their own costume designer, say, but out of creativity, you can develop this kind of range of skill sets. I think that blurring is really cool.
I concur.
Other question? Yeah. You in the middle? Oh, sorry, I'm going to make you get your steps in. The microphone people, sorry.
You mentioned that you're still waiting for the official green light for Killers of the Flower Moon. In general, is that process more about changing the elements of the project to fit the needs of a potential financier, or is it about hanging on to those elements until you find the right person to finance the film?
We have the studio who's going to finance it, so we just have to. It's always sort of a. It's always a budget thing. So we're crunching and trying to fit into a very, very nice and generous box, and we're in the fine-tuning the script, and we just need to get there, and we will.
Do you want to do same aisle? Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Right here, this hoodie.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering, what are like some of your qualities that you look for in a collaborator for a director? And yeah, just obviously both of you guys have worked with some amazing directors, and what were the qualities that you really look for when you're looking for new collaborators or something like that?
For me, I just want to work with great filmmakers and great material. That's what I want. Nice people.
Nice people.
Nice people.
Man, be
not,
nice.
Not a lot of time for mean people. It's gotta be fun, and you gotta have some fun, and you know what I mean.
I think for me, it's anyone that can get me excited.
Yeah.
And because you have to do it all the time. There's a very performative aspect even to directing, especially when you're trying to raise the money or you're trying to land that big actor.
Yeah.
It's like, can you inspire and like just excite somebody? It's just such a great quality. In the red?
So my question is, how you get through the gatekeepers? If you have a good project, you always turn around, go to the agent, go to that. How you get someone like Marty to actually give you a shot to look at your project? Because that's a very hard part to get there.
For you to get to Marty?
Yeah, to get people that can make a movie and make an impact to actually look at your project.
Yeah, I mean.
For me, the advice I give a lot is don't start at the top, start at the bottom.
Yeah.
So look at who your network is. Look if you know someone who's an assistant somewhere.
Right.
If it's a really great thing, it'll naturally find its way up. I find that many people go for like, how can I get like the head of Netflix email address? Like,
Right.
And I just think that that's kind of the wrong instinct. So look around at who you know.
Yeah, it's definitely some networking. I mean, crazier things have happened though when you go right to that source. And you know, Marty, Jesus, send him. He'd watch everything if he could that everybody sends him. I mean, seriously, he's. Yeah, I think you just have to sort of find a way in through, you know, a colleague or a friend or a cousin or something. You know, that's the way.
Thank you both so much. So my question is, do you think that directors will increasingly be tied to lockup agreements with streaming providers? Like J.J. Abrams just went to HBO. I know it's not binding, but do you think that it could turn into highly constrained agreements? We're going to produce, you know, X number of films, and you can only provide for them.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's new. I think that people have had studio deals and they owe certain number of pictures to people.
We certainly do.
Yeah. So I think
Paramount.
that that's the way it's been for a lot of these people. But I can speak at least for a place like Killer Films. We're a pretty small production company, but it's hard to just stay open. It's hard to pay the bills and pay the rent. So people have overhead deals, first look deals. You have to make these arrangements to kind of keep things running when you don't have a big, great movie that's paying your bills at that moment.
Correct.
So that's just the ecosystem of it,
Yeah.
in my experience.
Yeah. No, ours too.
Thanks for speaking with us. I saw The Irishman on Friday. It was great. It was interesting. I saw this article, I think it was in Variety. You may have seen it, but you mentioned its theatrical release and the big three are not, you know, interested at the moment, or maybe not interested, but you know.
They're very interested, but they can't
Right.
figure, yeah.
But there's this article that came out that was talking about how much it's been praised in the past week, and maybe you could speak on, like, could that process be changed? Does it want to be changed? I just feel like a lot of people right now who have seen the film are like, people need to see this, and I think it's incredible, and yeah.
I think it's going to have to change, right? I mean, it's going to have to change. I think, you know, the windows have to shorten. The big three have to be open to that. I you know, there's like no studios left. You know, it's all streaming. They're going to have to get in line at some point. Some deals are going to have to be made. I think we're going to be in a very different conversation a year from now with respect to
You
that.
guys are changing the conversation. I
We
think
are.
it'll be a very big whack to the system after this.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. So in productions, I know you're constantly battling deadlines, and certain times you'll kind of grow an emotional attachment to certain aspects of the film. When it seems that those aspects won't make it due to deadlines, how do you deal with that compromise internally and as well with your crew?
What deadline do you mean?
Or I guess just seeing things feasible to the budget.
Right. Yeah, it's painful when things have to, when compromises have to be made, and you know, things have to come out of a movie or come out of a production plan. In my experience, it always seems to work itself out in some way, and yeah.
Yeah, I think if you have the right team in place and you are all on the same page creatively, you can kind of pivot the plane together and keep the story intact and prioritize together in sync if you've done your job at the beginning, which is why the prep and the hiring is crucial.
Make the movie in prep, I always say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A woman in the back here. Back in the jacket.
Hi, can you just talk about what was the origin of the connection with Netflix? How did that even evolve? Who was in charge of it? And just financing in general, how you make those connections?
So in the Marty world, he has a guru manager, Rick Yorn, who structures all the film deals. So he's, you know, has a great relationship with Ted Sarandos and Scott Stuber, and when Paramount officially passed on the movie, he started talking to them about it, and they were, like I said, they jumped right in, and that was all done well above my pay grade. So yeah.
Everyone's Googling Rick Yorn now. They're like, who's this guy? I gotta find.
He's like a magician. He's amazing.
Is there anyone from this side of no one over here has questions? It's all over here. All right. We have a gentleman back on the side here.
Hi.
I'm a parent of a high schooler that wants to get into film school. Right now, we're looking at a bunch of film schools, and we've heard that if he doesn't go to NYU or USC, you might as well just send him to some kind of workshop or something. Do you see the NYU and USC
I didn't go to college
mafia?
or film school.
What's that?
I didn't go to college or film school.
No, I didn't either, but I'm saying now, do you see it as dominating, you know, kind of like the nepotism of these graduates from NYU and USC?
You're proof positive to me of someone that just kind of like has the passion and the interest. I feel like what it took you to get in the room is what makes you good at your job.
Yeah, but there was definitely nepotism there. But,
yeah,
you know, you've got to. You know, I think if you're smart and talented, you're going to find your way there anyway. Do I think it depends on what you want to do? Do I think film school's crucial? No, but it depends what you want to do. I mean, sure, if you.
Getting free advice.
Yeah, I mean, if Marty were here, he would say, start making movies. Get your camera and start making movies. And that's how you do it. I mean, he went to NYU before it was NYU, what NYU turned into. So, but he would have done it anyway, regardless. Just.
We have a gentleman here.
Hi, thank you both. Really fascinating. I'm not in film or anything like that, but I'm curious on scheduling. What tool do you use for scheduling, please, both?
You mean like what program?
Is it
Movie
Primavera
Magic
or something
Yeah,
like that? Or
Movie
what type of scheduling tool do you use?
Movie Magic. I couldn't possibly tell you how to use it because I
Okay,
don't actually
somebody knows
physically do it, but yeah, Movie Magic.
I'm a connoisseur of good like graphs and like if it like one time my colleagues here somewhere one time we got sent something like a really great format in Google Docs. I was like, let's steal this. Like this is great. Like I love laying out information. You here?
Hi, I'm Orion Lee from First Cow. Hi. So my question is about casting, and do you guys get involved, or do you leave the director to do that thing? Yeah.
I definitely get involved. I mean, I sit with Marty and Ellen in the casting sessions, and happily give my opinion when asked. But yeah, no, I'm definitely in the room when these when they look at auditions. If Marty needs to meet an actor or read an actor, he does that alone or with just Ellen. But yeah, no, I'm definitely involved.
Yeah, I'm involved a bit. I think this is its own art form about knowing when to interject in a process.
Correct.
And for casting, it's like when asked or when I feel like there's really a fatally wrong decision that might be made. Chime up, but
I'll sometimes beg, to work with somebody that
begging
I
works
love,
too.
and typically gets shot down. But I try. It's typically a very handsome actor.
Hi. My sort of question was about how you help create an environment. Like, let's say, for instance, Wolf of Wall Street. I know it's a very improv-heavy film, and I'm not sure how much maybe of that was also in Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you mentioned the people who are in your ear the most, the line producer, AD, and the DP. DP particularly stands out a bit just because it's more, I guess you'd say, creative as opposed to logistics.
Right.
And I guess it's stick to schedule, but also how do you collaborate? Talking to DP, saying, okay, he wants to do more improv, or he just wrote down 2 more shots. How do we go about this?
Yeah, I'm like, how are you going to get it done? In
Yeah,
the time
yeah,
that you have
basically.
Rodrigo.
Yeah.
So, Rodrigo's very important to the logistics of a day, the DP, because you're counting on their lighting and the setup time and all that, and they can really work with you and against you. So. Yeah, I mean, he's integral to the pace of the day, and when shots get thrown at you out of left field, it's how are we going to get this done? I mean, he's integral to the process from a logistical standpoint.
One more question. Can we do you right in the middle?
I have a question about Joker. There's this amazing location in Bronx, Steps in Bronx. I wanted to ask, was it Todd's idea to use that, or maybe it's was yours idea because it looks so amazing with the posters and the trailer?
Todd's. We searched. He always knew the Bronx was going to be Arthur's home, and he always from the beginning had the stairs. We just had to find the right stairs, but he was like, I want it to be, trudging, just the hard, everything in his life is hard, including that walk from the bus back home up those stairs. Yeah, no, Todd, probably the first location we locked.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the film.
Thank you.
It's such an honor.